Welcome to Hong Kong's Chung Chau Bun Festival.
Big old buns!
An ancient religious ceremony that ends with a high-stakes race up a 60-foot tower made of bread. For 3 minutes, at the stroke of midnight, trained athletes scramble up a massive tower covered in 9,000 steamed buns.
Is that a lot? It's a lot.
The grand prize? A lucky pastry. This is all part of a tradition to appease the ghost of a plague. A tradition that also involves children who appear to be levitating and the entire island's McDonald's going vegetarian.
She's a veterinarian.
Vegetarian.
This isn't just a festival. It's a bizarre collision of sacred tradition and a spectacle that is completely bonkers.
Jesus, man, these guys are completely nuts.
Yep.
I've just stepped off the ferry onto Chung Chau, a small, seemingly quaint island off the coast of Hong Kong. My plan is to find my hotel, drop my bags, and grab something familiar to eat before diving into the local culture. So, naturally, I head for the Golden Arches. A safe bet, right? I walk up to the counter and ask for a Big Mac. The cashier just smiles and points to the menu. Where the Big Mac should be, there's something called a McVeggie, a breaded patty of mushrooms, carrots, and corn. That's when I realize something is deeply, deeply wrong here.
There's something weird about this place.
It turns out, for 3 days, the entire island goes vegetarian. It's a mandatory purification ritual. Butcher shops are closed, restaurants have switched to meat-free menus, and even the world's largest fast food monolith has been forced to comply. I came to Hong Kong for dim sum and somehow ended up in a mandatory island-wide vegetarian boot camp.
Don't want to eat your garbage food, all right?
And if Ronald McDonald has been strong-armed into serving veggie burgers, you know things are serious. This level of discipline purification seems extreme. What on earth could have happened here that requires an entire island to collectively give up meat? After I've settled in, the next day I head out and the island's festive energy is at full boil. The procession is a river of colour. Lion dancers, clashing cymbals, and then them. I'm watching 5-year-olds in elaborate historical costumes glide past, 10 feet in the air, looking completely bored as if they're floating to school. My brain is cycling through explanations. Is it a historical reenactment? An elaborate art installation? The world's weirdest school run? I realised I had absolutely no idea what I was looking at. So I did the sensible thing. I went to get answers from a woman selling vegetarian fish balls. And the real reason is, of course, much darker. She tells me, back in the 18th century, a deadly plague devastated the community. People were dying and nothing they did could stop it. In a final, desperate act of faith, the villagers hoisted a statue of their most powerful deity, the sea god Pak Tai, and carried him through the narrow streets. They were begging for a miracle. And they got one. As the story goes, the moment the procession was complete, the plague broke. The dying stopped, the sickness receded, Pak Tai had cleansed the island. So, the entire festival is a massive thank you note to the god who saved them. The floating children are the heavenly patrol, a sign that the gods are still watching over the island. What started as an act of pure desperation has clearly evolved into this wild, joyful spectacle. That almost makes sense. But as the last of the floating children glides past, my view is replaced by something else. Something that the plague story doesn't quite explain. A 60-foot tall steel tower covered in thousands upon thousands of steamed buns. As evening approaches, the mood on the island starts to shift. The parade floats are gone, and now all eyes are on the main temple square.
Look over there.
What's that?
It's huge.
That's where I get my first proper look at it. The Bun Tower. It looms over the square like some kind of bizarre, doughy skyscraper. And next to it is a fearsome 10-foot tall paper statue with a blue face and fangs.
Interesting.
I'm told this is the King of the Ghosts, and his job is to act as a celestial bouncer for the evening. Because it turns out the buns aren't for the living, they're for the dead. They are the peace offerings to the spirits of the villagers who died in that 18th century plague. The whole festival is essentially an elaborate sorry you died of the plague party for a bunch of angry ghosts, and the main party favour is a bread roll.
Fair enough, yeah.
The King of Ghosts is here to make sure they all behave themselves and don't cause any trouble. So, this whole thing started as a solemn memorial for the dead, a way to appease restless spirits. Which begs the question, on how on earth did it evolve into a dangerous, high-stakes athletic competition? The answer, it turns out, is that it didn't evolve into a dangerous competition. It was always dangerous. And that danger is buried in the festival's darkest chapter. Because this fun, festive bun grab, it used to be a death trap. Let's rewind the clock back to 1978. The towers are still made of bamboo. There's no safety harnesses, no rules, no trained athletes. It's a pure free-for-all. Hundreds of villagers swarm up the towers at once, a chaotic human ladder. Then, disaster. Under the immense weight, 2 of the 60-foot towers collapsed, sending hundreds of people crashing to the ground. Over 100 were injured, many seriously. After that, the government stepped in and banned the entire event. For 27 years, the climax of the festival was gone. An entire generation grew up hearing only stories of the legendary Dangerous Scramble. But in 2005, it came back. Safer and more organized. I can see the thick safety mats spread out at the base of the tower. And each of the 12 climbers is being strapped into a professional safety harness attached to an individual rope. But it's no less insane, which brings me to tonight. At the stroke of midnight, a horn blares and all hell breaks loose. The climbers, many of whom are trained firefighters and rock climbers, explode off the ground. They move like vertical sprinters, using the steel frame of the tower for hand and footholds, their movements precise and powerful. They aren't climbing the buns themselves, but navigating around them. The thousands of plastic-wrapped buns create a treacherous, slippy obstacle course. One misplaced foot on a treacherous pastry, and the climber could easily lose their grip and be left dangling by their safety rope as the precious seconds tick away. It's a blur of motion under the bright floodlights, competitors stuffing buns into their bags strapped to their backs, the roar of the crowd shaking the ground. After a 27-year timeout for, catastrophic structural failure, the scramble is back. It's safer, sure, but as I watch them race against the clock, it's clear the stakes are incredibly high. It's a vertical, 3-minute food fight for the spiritual fate of the island. The horn sounds again, and in a flash, it's over. So, who won? And what on earth happens to all of those thousands of lucky, hard-won buns? As the exhausted climbers are lowered to the ground, officials quickly tally the scores. It turns out there's a system to the chaos. The buns at the very top are worth 9 points each, while the ones at the bottom are only worth 1. Strategy is everything. After all the winners are crowned, the real prize giving begins. The tower is dismantled, and all 9,000 of those now sacred pastries are distributed to the massive crowd. Eating them is believed to bring good luck and safety for the coming year.
And now, to taste sweet victory.
I finally get my hands on one, and after all that chaos, I can confirm the prize is a cold, plastic-wrapped, and slightly squashed steam bun. The taste of victory, apparently.
That tastes good!
It's the world's most intense bread line, but the festival isn't over just yet. There's one final, crucial piece of business. The giant paper effigy of the King of Ghosts is brought to the shore and set ablaze in a massive bonfire. This is the final act, the spiritual cleansing. So, they invite the ghosts, feed them, entertain them with an extreme sporting event, and then ceremonially burn their king to make sure they all leave. It's a surprisingly thorough spiritual eviction. In the end, you realize they really are risking it all for a lucky bun, and after seeing all of this, I can't decide if this is the bravest thing I've ever seen or just the most gloriously absurd. So, where to next? How about Spain? For a 200-year-old festival where participants stage a full-blown military coup, using thousands of eggs and metric tons of flour. Is it a protest, a party, or the world's messiest food fight? You better subscribe to find out.